Hey friends, I am excited to be with you today. Today is Passover, and so I wanted to talk to you about what Passover is. And Passover goes back to a time thousands of years ago when the people that were God's chosen people, they were called the Hebrews, they had gone to Egypt, and they were in Egypt for about 400 years. And during that time, the Egyptians put the Hebrew people, God's people, into slavery. So they were slaves. And they were crying out to God saying, please save us from this slavery. And so God raised up a hero, Moses. Now you might remember Moses. Moses was sent by God to go back to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the king of Egypt. And so God sent Moses to the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, to say, let my people go. Initially, it was let my people go worship me in the wilderness, and then later it was just, hey, let my people go. And so Pharaoh, when Moses said, let my people go, well, Pharaoh said, no. And so God sent plagues. Plagues basically are, just different bad things that happen that cause destruction. And so God sent a variety of plagues, and each time he would send a plague, and then Pharaoh would say, well, maybe I will. And then he said, no. And eventually, after 9 plagues, God said, all right, there's going to be one more plague. And after this, God said that the king of Egypt would let the Hebrews go. And so God sent Moses to go talk to the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, and he said, hey, if you don't let my people go, every one of your firstborn sons are going to die. Both the people and the animals, the livestock, cows and donkeys and stuff. And so God was giving him a chance and saying, hey, here's the consequences if you don't do it, but you have a chance. And Pharaoh said, no. I don't know if he used that tone of voice, but that was basically what it was. No. He was not going to let the people go. And so God said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send this plague. It's going to be the angel of death that's going to pass over all the land. And every household the angel of death visits, the firstborn in that household will die, whether it's animals or people. And obviously that's very scary. But God had chosen his people and he loved his people, so he gave them a way to be saved. Well, he gave everyone a way to be saved. But he told the Hebrews, his people, hey, here's how you can be saved from the angel of death. You can go and you can get a hyssop plant or a hyssop branch. Use that, take a lamb, so a baby sheep, a lamb, kill the lamb, take its blood, and you're going to take that blood and the plant, and you're going to paint the blood over what they call the doorpost, so around the door, and you're going to take that blood, paint it around the door, and when the angel of death passes over and sees the blood on the door, he will, when the angel of death comes by, if he sees the blood of the lamb on the door, he will pass over that house and there will be no death. So the word Passover, the name Passover, comes from the angel of death passing over any of the households if they followed God's instruction, which was to paint the blood of the lamb over the door. And then they took that lamb and they cooked it, and then they had a meal that night with lamb meat, just like we would have other meat like beef, chicken, pork, whatever. So they had unleavened bread, which is basically like flat bread, kind of like a fat tortilla, and some other things with that. But they had this special meal, and so every year after that they would call it the Passover meal to remember that. Now, I wanted to demonstrate, so to go back, so God said, all right, here's what you can do to be saved. You can take a hyssop plant. Now, I went out and I got some plants. We got this plant, and we got this plant. Neither one of these is a hyssop, but I was thinking, okay, what can we paint the door with? Well, I don't think I want to try this one. So I'm just going to use the paintbrush for this, but I have a Hebrew house. Now you're probably saying, that's not a Hebrew house, Stephen. That's an Amazon box. And I'm saying, yeah, it looks like an Amazon box, but look, it's got a door. How can it not be a house if it's got a door? Okay? All right, so this is going to be our house for the demonstration. And so they were supposed to take the plant. Now I'm going to use this instead of a plant. And they were going to dip the plant in the blood of the lamb, and then they were going to paint the blood over the door. And so with that blood, as the angel of death came, it didn't enter if there was the blood. It saw the blood and it passed over to the next house. So that's what the Passover comes from. Now, in the Hebrew tradition, it was the blood that was offered as a sacrifice. But it's also really, it was their faith in what God said to do that saved them. Because if they had the faith to actually just obey God and paint the blood, then through that faith, doing what they were asked to do, God saved them from death. So that's what Passover is from. It's from the time when God saved his people, and he gave them a way to be saved from the angel of death. And if they followed his directions and used the blood of the lamb, then they would be passed over. You know, as the perfect lamb, Jesus gave his life. His blood was shed when he died on the cross, when he was crucified. And so it is our faith in Jesus, putting our faith in the blood that he shed, that saves us. And so all you have to do is, well, we know the song Romans 10:9 that says, if you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And so if you trust that Jesus really is God, that he really lived a perfect life, that he lived the perfect life we could not live, he died to take the punishment that we deserve for the wrong things we've done, and then he rose again on the third day. If you believe that, and if you want to make Jesus Lord of your life, then all you have to do is tell God, hey, I believe. Will you forgive me because of what Jesus did, not because of anything that I can do to earn it? And so that's all it takes. And then once you have put your trust in Jesus and what he did, then you are eternally saved, which is a pretty amazing thing. So look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and take care.